Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce myself. I am Cynthia Octavianti from STA Microscale Medan. And here today, I would like to say that this house believes in developing countries should require foreign companies operating on its territory to have a minimum quota of hiring local workers. As to why this house believes so, will be explained shortly after we share some of our knowledge. Developing countries, in most cases, have a medium to low standard of living. There is usually an association between low income and high population growth. The developing countries usually have low per capita real income, high population growth rate, high rates of unemployment, and a huge dependence on imports of primary commodities. The countries are still developing because they could not secure a way to balance their degree of industrialization to their populations. Thus could be a big problem for a country, as those are admittedly not the very good aspects to be kept. By having foreign companies operating on our developing countries, we could minimize those problems, as having foreign companies means that we could have a new company operating in our country and giving more quota for our local workers to get some work. They also bring more new technologies that will spill over to our domestic companies. There is also a chance that foreign companies benefit from government subsidies and they will invest in local companies. They help in the industry of our country to become more modernized. They would also reduce our developing countries' high dependence of importing goods. The foreign companies are also very interested in developing countries, as they would have lower costs, very strong growth prospects, and in many cases, untapped natural resources. Both the foreign companies and developing countries have their own advantages. That is why this house believes that developing countries should require foreign companies operating on its territory to have a minimum quota of hiring local workers. The current problem that we are talking about is the high rate of unemployment. When the rate of unemployment is high, there are negative impacts for the long run for our country's economic growth. Unemployment wastes resources, generates distributive pressures and distortions, increases poverty, limits labor mobility, and promotes social unrest and conflict. It could lead to individual depression, low self-esteem, anxiety, and other mental health issues. This would happen especially if one individual desperately wants a job but couldn't find one. When citizens are in the state of unemployment, they don't get any income, which results in poverty if left alone for a long time. They could also get unmotivated, and as a result, volunteer work rate will be diminishing. All of those said would affect a country pretty badly if let alone. Which is why, if foreign companies operate on our country, it will help us with the high rate of unemployment in our country. Our citizens could get to work, make a living for themselves, and stop relying on someone else or even the government. They hugely reduce the citizens' dependencies to the government aid. It could improve our economies and even prevent crimes from happening, as crimes usually happens when people are in desperate need of something. Foreign countries could even pay the salaries of local workers higher, as they often create more products and receive more revenues. All in all, this house thinks that it would be very beneficial if a foreign companies operate in our developing country to help with improving our country's economy and social quality of life. That is all from me. Thank you very much.